I feel my biggest strength is my sense of empathy and the ability to have a certain amount of compassion for others.
My family tells me that my biggest strength is my personality. I am pretty much a true extrovert, which means that I am stimulated when I am around people, and I would almost all the time choose to be around people. I think it's important to have good instincts. I think it's important to genuinely care about people, and I think that always comes across well.
I would say my biggest strength is, first of all, humility. Humility because I understand that I don't know everything, and by employing very good people and allowing them to do what they do well, it makes my organization better. And after humility, I would say confidence, and that's the confidence to allow my people to do the job that they're hired for and not try to micromanage them.
Well, if I have any strength at all, it's probably because I don't mind working pretty hard, and I try to treat everybody as equals and be pleasant to everybody.
I never thought I was going to be spectacular. I never thought I was going to be the dullest one, but I'd make it somewhat. I'd make it one way or the other, you know. I didn't know how. And as a matter of fact, I told my wife that when I gave her the ring. I said, I don't know what's going to happen, how we're going to do it, but someday I'll make it.
The secret to my success probably goes back to my parents for sure. I give them a lot of credit for a lot of the success that I've achieved to this point. A lot of the things that they instilled in me as a child in terms of hard work and perseverance, to never give up. A lot of that I basically credit them for, and without them, I certainly would not be at that point in my life at this time.
Well, I grew up in South Carolina. I love South Carolina, and I know people all over the state, and I think that is one of the secrets to my success.
The secret to my success is a combination of wonderful support by my family and friends and just plain hard work. I hate to admit it, but I really think that women have to work harder to prove themselves in whatever your endeavor. So I would always recommend to people that you blend your skills, your personality, your commitment, and your passion with something that you love to do, but always be willing to work really hard.
I think I've been persistent. I never have given up. I just keep banging away, you know, and I'm patient. I try not to fly off the handle. I'm fairly even-tempered, and I just keep digging, and I'm very patient about what I want to do and what I get done. I know what I like to get done, and I just keep working at it.
At the end of the day, I've always done the things that others often didn't want to do. And the late nights of working when you don't want to be studying, or you don't want to be at work, or you don't want to be doing inventory, those are the times that I think it's really separated me and our business from a lot of others, and then peers that come to me wanting help. At the end of the day, we outwork a lot of problems here with our dedication to doing what's right.
I chose to come back to Florence and to start, number one, a medical practice in Florence because of my strong family ties and strong ties to the community.
I think Florence is a very progressive, small city, and it seemed like it would be a very good place to practice law in a very old and established law firm, and I was happy that I had an opportunity to come here and practice with Wilcox, Bike and Williams Law Firm.
And I thought if I ever had an opportunity, it would be in Florence. And so I brought my family to Florence. I didn't know a soul in Florence other than the people that I bought from, but I also went to school with a lot of people in Florence, so I felt at home. I didn't know squat about the area, but I'd always lived in mid-state and upstate, but I wouldn't leave here for the world. It's a great town.
Sharice and I picked Florence for one real simple reason, and that would be hospitality. Florence is a very hospitable market in that, not being original Florentines and coming in new to a market, The Florence and the PD area gave us an opportunity. They were hospitable enough to say, if you take good care of us and you treat us right and you're fair, we will do business with you.
The best advice I think I ever got, it was a contemporary of my father who worked for the company, same company I went to work with after I got out of service. And we were going around doing shows food, so I was in the food business, and we were doing different shows, and I would always be trying to put on the best display of food and this sort of thing. And this fellow who was one of my daddy's contemporaries, he came up to me one day and put his arm around me. He said, "DeBard," he said, "you're a nice young fellow." He said, "You're gonna do okay." He said, "Well, let me tell you something." He said, don't keep trying to hit a home run every time you step up. He said, just hit the ball and get on base. He said, just be consistent, and said, you'll do well. This home run stuff has got to go out the window. And he was right.
The best advice probably goes back to my mother, and all throughout grade school, all throughout college, all throughout medical school, all throughout my professional life, she would always just, one simple sort of life thing was to never quit.
The best advice was probably from my wife, who told me to marry her.
I was once told from my brother-in-law, believe it or not, that champions were not made champions in the ring, and he was relating it to boxing. Champions were made champions long before they ever entered a ring. The late nights training and working out and studying the craft of what they do. They were simply recognized in the ring, but they became champions all the hours and the days and the months before that. So the best advice I've ever received was recognize that to be a champion, you'll need to do it long before you're ever recognized as a champion.
The best advice that I probably ever received would have been from my husband when he said, you should go in real estate. He said, you have sales experience, this is a thriving community, it's something that fits your personality, and I think that's what you really should do.
Sharice and I try to give back to Florence in many different ways. First of all, through some of the great philanthropic organizations and nonprofits in town. The Boys and Girls Club, United Way, Big Brothers Big Sisters, so many great organizations. Also, we believe that when you individually come across someone, help them. Even when it's easier to go the other direction, when you see somebody in need, try to really do the Good Samaritan. And it's not always easy because it's not always convenient, but it's right.
Well, I try to participate in my church and in school activities and the Rotary Club and in many other professional and civic organizations, cultural as well. I'm on the board of the Dr. Bruce and Lee Foundation, and we have a very strong interest in making Florence move forward.
My volunteer activities are mostly involved with education through the school foundation. So committed to what we're doing to improve education, to start smart for young children, because education provides a way to improve yourself. Education gives you hope.
I had the honor of serving on the state technical education board for 7 years, and I got to see how the entire tech system worked throughout the state. And Florence-Darlington Tech is one of the strongest of all the institutions, the 16 institutions, and it has a remarkable impact on not only Florence and Darlington, but the entire PD area.
Florence-Darlington Technical College provides real skills for real work and real businesses, and that's why it's so important to our community.
Tech prepares potential candidates for the jobs that are actually out there, and not just jobs, but careers.
And Florence-Darlington Tech has done an exceptional, job at creating an opportunity for a lot of people within this community in many different areas. We would not be where we are in Florence without them at this point in time.
And I think that's the strength of this community, is Florence-Darlington Tech. Whether people realize it or not, it is a strength. It provides a workforce that runs this community.